Grace and good evening. Hello, everybody. It is late. I know. Y'all judge me for my Coca-Colas, but they be giving me energy and then I crash. Hey, Stefan, I think that's you I see. What's going on, everybody? Hey. I still have a few things that I want to do and I want to get accomplished tonight, but I did want to come on and keep up with what I'm doing. You love the lives. That's encouraging. Dr. Matthews, it's Dr. Matthew, singular, only one of me. Hello to everyone. Hey, will you text someone or email someone real quick and let them know that I'm up? Pastor Shanti, what's going on? Good evening to all of you. Dr. Rob Rush, hey, kiss them babies for me. I am Jay Shakur, hey. Trey Farmer, you know what it is. What's going on? I have a doozy, y'all. I got a doozy. And it's kind of late, so I'm reluctant to give it to you, but I'm going to do it, and hopefully whoever is not up will see it tomorrow. But I'd like to say hello to all of you. I hope that you've had a phenomenal day. I hope that you've got the victory in an area that you didn't think you would get the victory in. That's my prayer concerning you. Being prayed for me and my strength. Bubba Jenkins. Hey, man, what's up? Let's talk. Vegas in April fight night. Don't threaten me. Do not threaten me with a good time. You know I'd like to be there. I'm your intercessor, man. Go ahead, text somebody. We're at about 300 people. And I want to share some things with you. And I'm letting you know right now, this is not going to be an easy one. Not going to be an easy one. So go ahead, let me know what's up. Get your note-taking devices up. I'll let you know that the reason I'm doing this back to back is because I've got some other things that I'm planning and plotting out that I think is going to benefit a lot of you and help you to reach toward your maturity and your growth in the Lord Jesus. All right, so go ahead. We're at about 300. This is very Periscope-ish, although I don't necessarily miss Periscope days. Pastor Ryan, you know what it is. We do what we do off camera. Hey, I'm letting you know now this is going to be intense, and I'm about to put some on your head to think about. If there is a regular that you don't notice is on, make sure that they know that I'm on now. And again, I reiterate, turn your notifications on so that you can know what it is when I go live. Because sometimes it's predictable, sometimes it's unpredictable. Hey, Aaron, I hope to see you at church. Y'all pray for me and my people, man. We got interesting dynamics. Church Clothes is one of my favorite books. Thank you. Shardamus, no, baby. You're going to need this one, honey. Trust me. No pun intended. You'll see why in a minute. You're going to need this one. Don't log off. Just get you a little coffee or tea or something. And see what it is. Tony Brunage, I hope to see you this weekend at some point. I love you. All right, here we go. Ricky Holloway, you are to not log off. Is it Elder Norwood? I think that is. I love you, Elder Norwood. I know I suck. Pray for me. I've been on daddy duty. How do I want to start this? Let's go. Somebody take notes. I don't see Dr. Shaniqua on here. So whoever is the most organized note taker, you go ahead and get started. I'm going to try to not be on here long, but this is going to be vitally important for you. It's going to give you some things to meditate on, some things to measure yourself by, and some things to consider. Okay, Prophet Elaine, I see you on here. You take note-taking responsibly. Hurry up. I'm learning a lot about life. If you followed me for any amount of time, you'll know that I'm a learner. I am a teacher. I am a scholar. I am a thinker. I am a philosopher. I am an idealist. I am a futurist. But at the core of all of that, I'm a student. I like learning. True story, in 2020, when we were in the apex of the shutdown, my wife and I had a real issue because your boy was about to go back to school to get a second doctorate. I got invited to a second doctoral program, a pilot program, and I was going to get a PsyD. I have an EDD, but I was going to go back and get a PsyD. And my wife told me that I was addicted to school and that I needed to find something else to do with my energy and my passion and all of that. All of that to say is that I like learning. It's something that I'm committed to. Janae, don't log off. So my wife told me that we were going to have issues in our home if I went back to school. So I didn't. To be very honest, I struggle even today with going back to get a second doctorate, but my wife thinks it's worthless and pointless. But I'm showing that to highlight and project the student in me. It's a part of how God created me to be. What God created me to be is a seeker, a searcher, a watcher, a looker, a waiter. And I don't know that you can be an intercessor to any degree, which I boast that that's a part of my identity, without being somebody who looks and learns and wants and waits and walks. All of that has to do with information, lessons, observations, insights, etc. And I was thinking today about what I could offer you and what I would offer a group of disciples if I were at a table, if I were giving them something to meditate on today. And I came up with something that is germane to you and me. Black, white, Democrat, Republican, male, female, single, married. Nobody is excluded for what I'm about to teach you tonight. Now, I am Stacks. You know I will cuss you. Well, I can't say that on this line. I wish you would go to bed on me. You stay up for other stuff. But what I'm about to talk to you about tonight is something that none of us can escape. None of us can get out of it. None of us can avoid it. None of us can live and not face this. But I love you, though. I am Stacks. I love you. I'm talking tonight about trust trauma. The subject of trust. Trust. Don't log off yet. Trust trauma. I'm a student of life. And so because I'm a student of life, a part of what I've learned about life so far, and I'm in it just like you are, is that we all are going to at some point and at some period experience a blow, a brunt, some type of impact with what we think about trust, what we've experienced with trust, what it takes to get our trust, what it takes to be trusted. Yeah, I know you don't like that. I know you don't want to talk about this, but let's do it. Sometimes what keeps people up at night, David Ballard, what's up, bro? Sometimes what keeps people up at night is what and who they trust. Sometimes what wakes people up in the morning is what and who they trust. And what I'm learning is, it's simple, but it's complicated. Ricky Holloway, obey me. People very often don't think about why they trust what they trust how they came to trust. I know, Chardemus, I know, honey, why they came to trust, what they actually trust, and what the process was for them to lose trust when it occurred. But here's the issue. Trust is one of the consistent themes of life. You will not be able to live your life without facing, considering, thinking about what you trust, what you trusted, and what you need to trust. Trust, it's a theme of life. It's like air. It's like water. It's like all of that. You don't think about it that way, but that's why I'm here. Trust is a life lesson. As a human being, which you are, I hope you've resolved that underneath the gifting and underneath the mandate and underneath the call and underneath the business and underneath the acumen and underneath the intelligence and underneath the resume and underneath the accoutrements of who you are. There is a fallibility that's called humanity. You are a human being. And a part of what your humanity requires is some way to express trust, some way to communicate trust. We date for it most times. We befriend for it most times. We hope for it in our families. Lord have mercy. We look for it in our churches. We desire it in our friendships. We want it from our leaders. We try to explain it to our sons or our daughters or our progenitor story. Sometimes you live life and things happen and your trust is brutally wrecked. And then you have what I call trust trauma. And here is the challenge with trust trauma. Man, them numbers went down real quick. I know y'all want to talk about this. When you have experienced trust trauma and you don't deal with it, what's going to happen is your ability to love and to be loved will become diluted. I'm going to repeat it because I know you're not listening to me and you want to go ahead and go to bed and watch some on Netflix. But when you've experienced trust trauma, what's going to be at stake is your ability to love and to be loved is going to be diluted. There is not a human being on the planet, no matter what their faith, their dogma, their stance is, their worldview is. There is not a person in the world that does not want to know and be known, no matter how much they front and no matter how much they project and no matter how much they act like they don't need anyone. All of that is crap. Everybody wants somebody that they can be scared in front of, naked in front of, honest in front of, sensitive in front of, wounded even in front of. But when there's a trust trauma there is a strain on your ability to love and be loved or see and be seen. And it happens in the complete orbit of life and the complete orbit of the human experience. Now, I know y'all keep logging on and off. Go ahead and get y'all some dating advice and find you some self-help from somebody. I'm going to talk to you about the real stuff, about why you choose what you choose, fear what you fear, why you commit where you commit to, why you show up where you do and why you don't show up where you don't, why you got to create alternate social media profiles because you don't want to show the world your real self. And then troll and say things that you don't have the boldness or the guts or the chutzpah to say with your real self. Why you got to create alternate dating profiles to make sure you spy or review or evaluate enemies and foes and exes and all of that stuff. All of these random opportunities and random expressions and variations of who you are. Because the real truth is trust. Now, it's possible to experience a breach of trust with another human being. entity, story, group of people, category of information, opportunity. But there's another thing about mistrust with self. Not trusting yourself. There's some good to that, but there's also some things that needs to be examined. And I've been at this thing for a bit, and I'm like you. I want to preface this with this. I'm like you. I've not perfected it. I ain't nowhere near where I probably am going. I have trust trauma like you, so I can understand it. I have just had the bravery to explore it, to find out what the heck is going on. It's trust. People have trust issues. Okay, before I go deeper and before you log off and judge me and all of that, I want about 150 of you to be honest and write in the comments, just so I know I'm not crazy, I've got trust issues. Would you put that in there? Nicole Sarandon, you're not staying in the cave. The devil's a lie. Would you write that? I have trust issues. I want to know if I'm out here by myself. Come on, let's talk about it. There's a lot of reasons why. There's a lot of reasons where we got there. I'm going to help you process it. Okay. Be honest. Good. Riss, I love you, honey. Yeah. Now, only say it if you mean it, for sure. I got trust issues. Okay. Now, this is important, and what I'm going to give you is a framework to think about this in your own life, because it's going to impact you in business, it's going to impact you in investment, it's going to impact you probably most importantly in communication, it's going to impact you in how you hear what you hear, it's going to impact you in the realm of support. There's a lot of people who don't know how to be supported. I'm going to say it again because I don't think you heard me the way I said it. Who don't know how to be supported because of the depth of their trust issues, that they think that everybody's attempt, albeit imperfect and not excellent, people's attempts toward you to support you is never enough, because you got a trust trauma that's like a gaping wound. A trust trauma is like a gaping wound. It can come through betrayal, divorce, deceit, attack, setup, scheme, any realm of dishonesty can cause it. But I'm going to set up a framework for you to measure this in your life so that you can get in it. So I'm going to give you some concepts. If Dr. Shaniqua is not on, then Elaine is going to be responsible for this and the note taking so that you can review it. Okay, when we're dealing with the subject of trust, it is a matter of the seasons of life. You, in every season of life, you will have to consider your trust. You will have to consider your trust. Now, here is where it gets messy, Chartemis. You cannot think soberly that you trust God when you've got trust issues with people. Now, I know the scriptures you're going to use to try to fight me, but you can't do that because I know Greek and I know Hebrew. What I know is that trust trauma is going to be equal, consistent in your life. And if you can't find a way to fix the skill of trust, it's going to impact you in every way you manifest and in every way you show up. For example, if you have trust trauma as a father and you have children and you father them, Jesus, in mistrust, what's going to happen is you're going to create a suspicious environment for their development. And when you create that suspicious environment for their development, you're going to create liars out of them. You're going to create masquerading men, and you're going to create facading women, people that are trying to perform their way into intimacy with you, because your trust trauma is like a gate and a wall that can't be broken down. Let me give you some hope, all right? Are y'all still with me or no? Whatever, watch the replay. So the thing about this is that there is a pattern of this with trust. I'm going to give you some things to think about, but that's what I'm doing. Tell your therapist to run me my money. Number one, as a human being, you got to conceptualize the issue of fallibility. Fallibility. I will get it wrong. You will get it wrong. They will get it wrong. It will not work out right. The outcome may or may not be what I thought. I will get it wrong. You will get it wrong. It may not work out. He may not get it right. She may not get it right. The outcome may not be what I had intended. That's fallibility, subjection to flaw, unpredictiveness. But that's where trust trauma starts. Most people can only trust what they can predict. But the problem with prediction is the lack of consistency. And that's where most human beings find their definition of trust. If it does the same thing and it is consistent, it can be trusted. You paying attention? All right. So let me give you this line of thought so that you can understand this. Take notes, y'all. I'm going to tell you why trust trauma is most sensitive and most dangerous. Do not log off. Do not get scared. Do not get paranoid. Listen to me. Listen to me. The reason why the issue and the subject of trust in any dynamic, in any relationship, in any interaction is an issue is because there are two powerful cornerstones that hinges and projects the trust conversation. Okay, help me, Lord. Belief and hope. Come on, y'all. I'm just like you. I'm in this with you. I'm not leaving you out there acting like I've perfected it. But belief and hope. It would be easier to understand and or conceptualize trust if it were only about proof. But trust is not just about proof. It's about belief and it's about hope. Here's why. There are some things I believed and I was proved to be wrong, whether it's about you, whether it's about me, whether it's about what you said, what you did, what you would do, what you could do, what you should do. All of that is unprovable. We think that trust is about proof alone. What makes the trust conversation scary is that it is about belief and hope. You ready to go deeper? The issue of belief is this. I can be led to believe something, and I'm just giving you a skeleton for your own investigation of your own heart. Take it and do what you want with it. I can be led to believe something, or I can choose to believe something. Now, I have to take responsibility if I'm going to heal, because there may be things that I chose to believe that you didn't lead me to believe, but I believed them nonetheless, and I made what I believed proof, even though there was no evidence of it. So with belief and with hope, the desire is trust. But I can be led to believe something, which is your behavior, your actions, your promises, your words, your identities, the presentation, the whatever. I can be led to believe it. or I can choose to believe it. Because there are those of us that choose to believe something that has no sign, no symptom. We just choose to believe it. Sometimes because of what we need. I'll get there in a minute. Sometimes because of what we desire. Sometimes because of what we think will heal us. Sometimes because of what we think will distract us or pull us away from a pain. But being led to believe a thing and choosing to believe a thing are not the same things. And in the friction of those two realities, in every relational dynamic in human life, is trust. Because once I was led to believe it, and I found out that it was not right, real, true, or okay, what I've done is I've taken several steps back and I've made there is an emotional wounding, a psychological wounding within me that's created a deficit that here's where it's going to get hard for y'all. It's going to make it very complicated to love me because people with trust issues are hard to love. Now, I know that the opposite issue of this is the victimization issue, because you think that if you have trust issues, if you are the one with the trust issues, that you're always on the winning side of or you're the one that needs the support. I'm the one with the trust issues. It doesn't make you right. And it doesn't make your experience supreme or premier. It means that you have a wounding that needs to be investigated. So you can be led to believe something and you can choose to believe something. And when you have that, everybody deserves love, right? But you can be hard to love if you have trust issues. I've learned this in my own life. All right. The human heart has several needs. And I'm not talking just about the thing that's beating in your chest. I'm talking about the core compass of your life's existence that determines your direction, your decision, your steps, your identity, etc. And I want you to write these down. Elaine, are you in here? Hey, Auntie Star. My auntie fine, y'all, and I think she's single. So follow her if you making six figures. There's a couple of things that you need to understand with this trust measurement system and this trust trauma thing. Number one, you've got to understand need. Need. I cannot tell you. It baffles me. It baffles me how many people I pastor, have taught, have mentored, have nurtured, have lived with me, have preached to. I cannot tell you how complicated it is to get people to conceptualize need. That you need. You're going to need as a man. You're going to need as a woman. You're going to need as a leader. You're going to need as a business. You will need something. Entrepreneurs need, visionaries need, salesmen need, but there is something about hurt that prevents people from wanting to be honest about need. And you know what's crazy about that? Need is what connects us. It's not until and at the place where you can express need that people come close in safety. You got to be okay with admitting and owning a realm of need. But in the trust dialogue, something in and or around the subject of need has been cut. Cumberpatch, I want to see you this weekend. Need. Here's another issue. You got to conceptualize need. That's number one. But then you got to conceptualize desire. Because if we're thinking about what trust is and what trust does, some of it is not necessarily need. Some of it is desire. I desire this. I've got a dream, a passion, an inspiration, something that brings me joy, something that brings me happiness, something that grants me hope, something that motivates me, something that encourages me. That's desire. And all desire is not evil. Some of it is. Some of it can come from the flesh. Some of it can come from hell. But there is a difference between need and desire. And as a human being, you will have to learn how to manage both. Need, desire. The third thing is where y'all about to log off. And y'all about to call my mama, call my auntie. She on here. About to tell my brothers to come and shut me down and send another intervention. Protection. In my meditation of this, I've learned that if trust is somewhere in between the UFC ring of belief and hope, then we've got to deal with the issue of need, desire, and protection. And these are all core issues of humanity and the human experience. Protection. Now let's have a very hard conversation. Women are not the only people that want to feel protected. Children are not the only people that need to feel protected. Wives are not the only people. I know you want me to turn my plow. I know you do. That want to feel protected. The neighborhood watch group. Not the only people that want to feel protected. There is not a human being watching me, following me, that has heard me. I don't care if you've got a gun, if you've been in the war. I don't care if you top flight security of the world. Everybody wants the protection thought, the protection security, the types of protection. And if you don't believe me, okay, think about what a life, pull yourself out of it, your own story, think about what a life feels like and looks like walking around feeling unprotected. And if not unprotected, underprotected. Does your pastor feel protected? Yeah, I know, because that's not, she don't need that. I know, they're a leader. Nah, you're not supposed to do that. Does your siblings feel protected? Do your friends feel protected? Can they hear a thing, learn a thing about you and know that it's been protected, vaulted, secured, locked in the place of love? I get it. So protection. We started off with need. We went to desire. We went to protection. Now we're going to talk about something else that is not a common thing. Are you guys okay? Because we can have a conversation about why folk ain't getting married and why people don't want to date and why all of this. The real truth is not the lipstick, the makeup, the bra. It ain't even the sex. It ain't even compatibility in some cases. The real issue is we are tripping in the realm of our trust. And right when we get to the point in the place of love, that trust trauma shows up and we back up and we self-destruct and we pull away from anything that looks too authentic because we got trust trauma. Here is the last one from this realm of it. I got some more. Every human being in the world, every human being in the world, Jew, Gentile, bond, free, male, female, black, white, all y'all, lie to yourself if you want to. We want some guarantees. God, we want guarantees. And the awful thing about life is, unless I'm tweaking, ain't none. Ain't none. If you're going to journey, if you're going to have faith, if you're going to try, if you're going to attempt, if you're going to grow, if you're going to walk, if you're going to matriculate, if you're going to study, if you're going to learn, if you're going to love, you should probably be like me and maybe resolve now. There are very few guarantees in life. People don't expect to wake up dead. People don't expect to lose jobs. People don't expect for wives to leave them. People don't expect to get a cancerous diagnosis. People don't expect that. But here's the real issue. Depending upon who you are and where you've been and what you've seen and what you've been through, there is something about the fantasy and the fallacy of guarantee that determines what you're willing to invest and what you're willing to put yourself in the hostile line of. Guarantee. So let me realign that. Life requires fallibility, subjection to flaw and to error. But then you're going to go through need, desire, protection, and guarantees. And all of that will create the framework, the thought pattern, the emotions that you galvanize and or gather about what you believe about trust. All right? Now, my trust issues, my trust lengths, my trust depths are about what I believe, not necessarily what you proved. Now, one could argue the reason I trust you, or the reason I trust this, or the reason I trust that is because you've proven something. But that's not always true. Sometimes I trust because I want to, not because I should. This is why people marry idiots, date people that are not their mental, emotional, or spiritual equal, invest in products that are dumb. I just wanted to. And at the end of the day, there are some people that trust because they just want to. They invest it because of an inner need, an inward need in them. And they try to force what they want and what they need out of another person or another party or another conduit or environment or circumstance. They try to force what they need on them, and they create an environment of trust, even though there should not be. There's no reason for trust in that particular way. Now, I'm going to move into this. Y'all still here? Hey, Chris, I love you. Need a hug from you, man. We can trust intentionally, or we can trust coincidentally. Intentional trust is this: I have taken my time to observe, to measure, to watch, to see whether or not this is something that I can commit to and whether or not this is something that can commit to me. I don't have time to preach. I've taken the time to investigate, navigate, measure, monitor if this is something that I can commit to and whether this is something that can commit to me. That's intentional trust. That's the best type. But then there's coincidental trust. Coincidental trust is, okay, because of my pain, my fear, my focus or my distraction, my longing, my abandonment, my rejection, my culture, my emergency, I have fallen into a coincidental trust. So you have kinds of trust. You have degrees of trust. I feel like I'm going real fast. One of my sons will take notes. You have intentional trust. You have coincidental trust. You have trust that's built. You have trust that happens. The trust that's built was agreed. It was mutual. It was understood. It had language. It had definition. It had verbiage. It had fears. It had failure. It had flaw. It had victory and all of that. The trust that just happened just because you found me in an emergency, in a spot, in a fear, in a crisis, in wounding, in circumstance, and you were just there at the right time. Many marriages were started their way. You just happened to find me when I was at my worst. And so I trusted you until I found out who you really were or what you really were. So there are kinds of trust and there are degrees of trust. All right. Here are some things that are y'all still here? Okay. I'm going to bed like y'all. I just want to get off this thing off my heart. In the subject of trust, in the understanding of what trust is and what trust does, you have to consider these things. Flexibility, because it could be you or it could be me. It could be that or it could be it. Maybe it's my mom's fault. Maybe it's my dad's fault. Maybe it's my siblings' fault. Maybe it's my church's fault. I don't know. But here's the deal. When you're trying to sort through your trust issues, the mistake that most of y'all gonna make is trying to find out whose fault it is. I know it. I've been in it. I'm a student of life, like I opened up, so I know where y'all gonna go. But flexibility and staying away from the emphatics. If you're going to learn to trust, you got to stay away from emphatically making it one thing's or one event's or one person's responsibility. Don't just blame this on one thing. It could be an amalgamation, a summary, a combination of things. It could be a lot. It could be you. So trying to find something or someone to blame or to take responsibility from it is the easy way out. But I guarantee you, sir, you, ma'am, are going to end up in arrested development because that's what blame does. Blame diminishes growth. There's nobody to blame. I just got trust issues. This happened to me. That's what went on. So flexibility. What happened? Openness. Let me consider this. Next is stewardship, because I think that when you try to trust, if you're staying with me and you are active in this conversation, will you put in the comments real quick, I'm trying to trust? Because that's what we're all. I don't think that there is somebody that's like, I will never trust again. Well, stop texting. Stay in the house. Lock yourself in your stupid, musty basement and eat bread and vinegar and water. You're lying to yourself, mama, son. No. You want to trust. You're just afraid to. The issue is we're trying to, and it's hard. We're trying to, and it's difficult. We're trying to, and it's complicated. We're trying to. So the issue is we need to situate ourselves in environments and in circumstances and around people that steward the level of trust we've given them. Watch this. Even if the level of trust we've given them is not at the apex or the peak, I've given you a level of trust, whether it's access, communication, confession, admission, whatever the level of trust that I've responsibility, consistency, because that's a manifestation of trust. Whatever level of trust I've given to you, it needs to be stewarded. Do not take the level of humanity that I've shown you in any way and in any expression and to any degree for granted. Because once you've taken that for granted, my trust is gone. And it's hard to grow and easy to lose. I know. Stewardship. Trust must be stewarded. Here's something that will probably encourage you, maybe. Hopefully. I don't feel like I'm making sense. Trust can be grown. Trust can be grown. When trust attempts occur, trust talks occur, trust moments occur, trust opportunities occur, trust dynamics occur, trust situations occur. It's not showing up full blown or at its full maturation. Trust, like love, can be grown. But most people don't stay around long enough for trust to be solidified or insulated. I can think about several scenarios in my life where trust was being built. And then either out of nowhere or gradually it decreased or got diluted or came under question or started to break down. because trust can be invaded, intruded upon, poisoned, all of it. And that's in everything that you can be and everything that you are. So trust can be grown. So the real conversation needs to be, are we willing to grow trust? And what does being willing to grow trust mean? What does that require? What do I have to say? What do I have to do? How do I have to show up? All right. I got a little more if you can handle it. Jesus of God. There are two primary things, and I'm certain that there are more, but I'm using the phrase primary for a reason. There are two primary things that I think breaks trust in everybody. We can be different in our views, in our opinions, in our experiences, in our testimonies, in our stories, in our pains, in our hurts, in our wounding. But there are two primary things that I have found in my research and investigation hits trust real hard. You ready? Now, for those of you that don't know, and there's some of you on here that can testify, this is me on FaceTime with my disciples every day, my pastors, the people that I talk to every day. This is just me. I ain't got no extra lights or makeup or my fashion, my stylist ain't on here. This is just how I talk to people when I'm working and committed to them. So you getting the real deal for a little bit. Fear. Here is the truth about you. You would rather be afraid than trust. It's easier for you to be scared than trust. You're more comfortable with fear than trust. You're more familiar with fear than trust. Fear is more familiar. It's something that you can conceptualize. It's something that you've decided to befriend. It's something that you've made several names for and nicknames for, and you've made occasion for it and room for it in your life. Fear. So there are people that would rather live their lives in fear than live their lives in attempts to trust. Because here's the deal about fear. It don't require faith, hope, or belief. Trust does. And so the cheap way out of life and the cheap way out of maturity and the cheap way out of growth is, let me live my life in fear. And let me call it something else and design it as something else and tattoo it as something else and veneer it as something else, although at the core of it, it's fear. That's why I'm single. It's fear. That's why I won't go to school. It's fear. That's why I won't fight for my marriage. It's fear. That's why I'm a bad dad. It's fear. That's why I'm not a good mom. It's fear. That's why I won't reconcile. It's fear. That's why I won't repent. It's fear. That's why I won't submit. It's fear. Fear, 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 fear. Fear never needs an excuse to exist. That's what makes it so powerful. Fear can claim regions and territories of your life, your mind, your soul, and never make a statement about it. The thing will be there. It can come by rape. It can come by molestation. It can come by a father that abandoned your mother. It can come by a mother that was a crackhead. It can come by any particular way. But once fear has claimed a territory in you, trust trauma is inevitable. So whatever your story is and whatever happened to you or whatever is happening to you, if there is an undealt with, unconfronted fear, the trust issue is going to be next. All right. Now, after we've dealt with that, we've got to deal with the issue of the open wounding. It sounds similar, but it's a little different. Fear is one thing. It can be trauma. It can be terror, torment. I mean, I know people that are deathly afraid of certain things. But When you have an open wound, I like to call it in deliverance and in restoration. I like to call it a gaping wound. Those are the wounds that, you got bullet wounds, you got stabbing wounds, you've got paper cuts, you've got different degree of wounding. We have not all been wounded the same. Some of us have been wounded a bit differently and deeply. And there are people that judge the depth of your wound, don't comprehend the depth of your wound, and have concluded you at the point or the place of the wound that they met you at. Only you and God know how wounded you really are. But what I know about trust is it will tell where the wounds are. It will locate it. So when I meet you and I say, hey, how are you? Who are you? What can I do for you? How can I serve you? Or if I meet you and I say, let's be friends. Or if I meet you and I say, let me mentor you. Or if I meet you and I say, let me grow you or groom you and develop you. What I'm doing is I am, in many cases, blindly appearing into a realm of wounding that I have no real comprehension of. And in my attempts to love you, in my attempts to learn you, in my attempts to support you, in my attempts to walk with you and journey with you, I'm going to run into the depth of woundings. And sometimes has nothing to do with me. Chris, don't say that. I ain't gone nowhere. I'm here. It is really difficult when people don't take responsibility for their own wounds. Let me just break this down. I know this is complicated. Sometimes wounded people think that justice is the answer to the pain. Sometimes wounded people think that justice is the answer to the pain. If somebody walks up on you with a gun, I almost told my past, child, and shoots you, and the bullet remains in you, and it tears through your flesh, lodges in a point of your body, and they run off into the darkness. They run off into the night. Police never find them. There's no evidence that they were the ones that did what they did. Me catching them does not situate or fix the injury. The injury is there. The injury exists. I need to focus on the darn injury, not catching the criminal, particularly for those of us that are saved and full of the Holy Ghost. Quan, I needed you hours ago. The injury is here. You focus on the freedoms, the liberties, the escape of the criminal. When you need to focus on the injury. Because even if we caught the injury or the offender, you could still die. If it hits the right vein, if it touches the right place, them being in jail ain't gonna do you no good because your lifespan has still been impacted. You may still have to walk and or live in pain with somebody incarcerated. This is why the Bible says vengeance is mine. You'll never heal and you'll never grow and you'll never deal with your trust trauma if you take vengeance on your own and fairness on your own and justice on your own and equality on your own. Amen. All right. I'm almost done. Am I wearing y'all out? Is this okay? I feel like I'm blabbering. All right. In a couple of weeks, again, I tell you that this is going to get a little bit more exclusive. So I'm not going to be just giving this out to people. We're dealing with trust trauma for those of you that just came on. By the way, I paid for this. This is not something I Google and or researched or got from somebody. I paid for this. I live it. I learn it. And so I can give it and sow it. All right, let's give these principles, and then I'll probably let you go. We just dealt with open woundings, and we just deal with fears. I'm afraid of something. You know, there are certain people that are afraid to be loved. They're afraid of it. Love, in my understanding of it so far, will find a place of brokenness, a tear, a rip. It will find something like that in your life. And so sometimes when you are loved, and when somebody, because here's the deal, nobody's going to show up in your life loving you well. They ain't your mama and they ain't your daddy. And even those two jokers are going to have to learn to love you as you become who you are. Your mama and your daddy will have you, but they will have to learn to love you. Just because you came out of their womb and out of their loins does not mean that they're going to know automatically how to learn you perfectly. It will have to be an intentional effort to learn who you are and how you are as an individual, as an adult, as a journey, as an experience, as a pursuit, as an assignment, dare I say a mandate and a call. You got to learn it. The Bible talks about perfect love. And if there is such a thing as a perfect love, then there is such a thing as an imperfect love. It's love none the least. All right. So, trust must be gained. Trust must be gained. Trust must be gained. I gained trust. And the way I gain trust is by being consistent. Imperfect, but consistent. Misunderstanding, but consistent. Human, but consistent. Don't get to a place in your life where you disrespect people's attempts. Unless they're a loser or a leech or bad motive or imperfection is not a sign of disaster all the time. Somebody can really love you and still be learning how to love you. So trust can be gained. All right? Trust can be demanded. Now that's not a safe trust. Don't tell me to trust you. Are you stupid? What? Boy, what? Huh? Don't demand trust. Don't walk into somebody's life, world, circumstance demanding to be trusted. That is almost automatically the sign of criminal behavior and activity. I pay attention to it. And believe it or not, there are people who tell, just trust me. Just trust me. And I met you 30 minutes ago. We ain't got enough history, letdown, argument, disagreement, pain, down season, victory, flaw, failure, future, secret, discretion. No. Trust has got to be grown, but don't demand it. Then trust must be stewarded. Once it's recognized, trust must be stewarded. I've got to take care of the trust I've been given. The people I preach to trust me. Theoretically. They trust that my gift is my gift, that my vision is my vision, that I am who I say I am. The people that you minister to trust you. The people that you walk with trust you. So there's a stewardship, just like tithing, just like budgeting, just like going to the gym, just like anything that requires supervisory management. You've got to steward trust. And here is the drum roll. I know all y'all been waiting for me to say it all night. Trust can be ruined. It can be ruined. It can be ruined. Trust can be ruined. And I don't think all trust is ruined by a bad season or a disagreement or a conflict or a painful moment or a need to reconfigure or a need to reaffixate or readjust, but trust can be ruined. This is why, and I don't know why I feel like I should say this, but I'm going to say it just to give you some bonus notes. And I know y'all not going to watch this or reread it. Y'all don't want to talk about stuff like trust. But if you think about what Jesus called authority, it was really the fruit of trust. There was a lot of people in the New Testament that moved in power that didn't move in authority. One was the virtue of need. The other was the virtue of education. And the thing that was the virtue or the byproduct of education was because the information and the training was trusted. It's like a lot of people, roaming around with guns and bullets, but no paperwork. One is a matter of ability, circumstance. The other is a matter of process and paperwork. It's about trust. Power and authority are not the same thing. You don't deal with the devil by power because he has power of his own. Luke 10:19, behold, I give unto you power to tread upon all the powers of the enemy. Authority is where it is, but authority is a trust issue. You don't grant authority to people you don't trust. Study it later. Those of you that have experienced rape, molestation, adultery, infidelity, betrayal, robbery, insurrection, the seed of mistrust might be in you. And that's not a rebuke. Trust can be re-earned if we can have a restitutional conversation, or we can come to the table and say, hey, what just happened? That's the problem. There are people who want trust to heal without an honest conversation. Restitution must be made where trust is broken. So what that looks like is we got to go with an open heart and an open mind and be like, hey, what just happened? You heard that? Well, what I meant was this. No, I didn't do that. You heard? Who said that? Oh, you've got to have a table, an opportunity when honest conversation can be had. And you can't, watch me, you cannot be offended at people's trust journeys. It may or it may not have anything to do with you. Now, if it has something to do with you, don't be offended. Adjust your behavior if love is the motivation. If love ain't the motivation, then you're not going to adjust your behavior. But if and where love is the motivation, you'll say, okay, I understand. I see how you could see that. Because love is empathetic. I don't care what these people tell you. Love seeks to understand. Love seeks to exchange seats. Love is not selfish. So I'm not offended if you don't trust me. Your trust in me or of me doesn't make me any more or less me than what I am. I was me before you trusted me. I mean, it's not a reward. But I do value it when it's given. And I do value it when it's demonstrated. And I do value it. And I consider it sacred and holy once it's demonstrated. But we've got to have an honesty and a nakedness, if we're going to grow in our trust. And every relationship's got to grow in trust. Every dynamic has got to grow in trust. Here's another bonus. Ugh, catch this, Elaine. Every definition has to grow in trust. I've got to grow to know that you are what you want to be, and you are going to be what you desire to be in my space and in my world and all of that, So the issue of trust is real deep. It's strong. It's powerful. There is trust trauma in ministry. I don't have the time to begin to go through it. There is pastoral trust. There is pastoral mistrust. There is pew trust. There is pew mistrust. There is family trust. There is family mistrust. There is friend trust. There is friend mistrust. But all of us are one season away from a laceration in the realm of our trust. That if we don't address, and if we don't monitor, and if we don't take onus for or ownership of, it's going to limit how we grow as people. Hey, but that's not the most dangerous consequence of mistrust. It will, of course, impact how we grow as people, but it will catastrophically impact our ability to grow people. All right. Hope that was okay. I hope you heard me, and I hope that made sense to you. I will leave it up. I won't take it down. I have not scratched the surface on the subject of trust and trust trauma, trust injury, trust laceration. But, I hope that I said something, I don't think I'm the brightest person in the world, but I hope I said something that will make you at least think and make you consider. You got to trust something. You got to trust somebody. Now, here's what I like to do. My Auntie Star is still on here. Hey, here's what I like to do. Friendships, relationships, mentorships, anything new. Here's what I like to do. And people laugh at me for it, but I ain't got much to lose. I've been through hell and back. Folk be telling me, go to hell. I'm like, I went. I got a t-shirt already. Here's what I like to do. Dinner number 1. FaceTime number 1. Coffee session number 1. I like to tell people at the outset, hey, what's up? Nice meeting you. I got trust issues. Child, when I tell you I hit them with that thing, 1, 2, I give them that before I give them my business card and my phone number. I'll let them know I have trust issues so that the recipient or the alternate party can decide if I or it is worth the journey through my trust challenges, whether it got anything to do with you or not. I put my crazy up front. Now, y'all end up in fake, phony, inconsistent, frail relationships because of your trust issues, hide your crazy. Nah, bruh, I'm going to let you know. Oh, I'm your mentor. Oh, really? Really? Oh, good. Hey, let me tell you something. I don't trust you. I don't know who you are, what you want, what you need. Yeah, somebody said that to me before. Yep, I heard that before. Somebody said that. I put it out there so that you can judge and decide your mental, emotional, spiritual capacity for where I am in my life's journey. I put it out there. Now, y'all keep hiding it all you want. Child. Nah, put that thing out there. By the time you deserve my money at a steakhouse, or by the time we went to get some champagne or something or any of that, you gonna know. Hey there. I don't trust people. Now, I don't desire to stay there because I don't have the time. I got to get off of here, but I don't have the time to go through it. But at some point, my trust issues could possibly get in the way of my worship life. So because a large part of my life and my journey as a man, as a father, and everything else that I am is reliant upon the lifeline of worship, I got to work on my trust stuff, the mechanisms of trust, the features of trust, all of that. So I'm working on it, like you. But that's where we at, man. And yeah, I hope this blessed y'all. I hope you're not mad at me. I'm just trying to tell you what somebody else should have told you. We got trust issues. People lie. People move. People run. People facade. You know, on the right day, you may end up doing something that you didn't know you were going to do. There may be things that you vowed that you would never do that you end up doing on a hard day and in a hard season. And so no flesh deserves trust completely. But you got to figure out trust mechanisms if you're going to navigate through life and life's seasons appropriately. Do not think that you should trust everybody. That's not what I'm telling you. No. But at some point, you got to trust somebody. All right. Let's get some notes in here and some reposts and some memes and some stuff like that. And let's keep journeying. Ain't nobody figured life out yet. Don't let them fool you. We all figured it out. And I've resolved that to just live by faith, not by figuring it out. So I'm not mad no more that I can't figure it out. I love living by grace through faith. That's wisdom. All right. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Peace.